Hello, I am your caster Horohori, back with you again today to bring you the Owl Power Rankings presented by Beehive. It's been a crazy week in the Overwatch League, and we want to make sure that you're up to date with who are the top power teams in the Overwatch League. So here we go from 12 to 1. Starting at number 12, we have the Shanghai Dragons. It seems it was a tough week for the Shanghai Dragons. Both London and NYXL were both expected to win their match against Shanghai. Unfortunately, Shanghai did get hammered by London 4-0 in a match that was unfortunately less than 40 minutes long. They actually had to kill about 30 minutes before the next following match. So tough break for Shanghai this week, but looking for brighter weeks ahead for Shanghai. At number 11, we have the Florida Mayhem. They managed to take a map off the Los Angeles Gladiators, but then got promptly 4-0'd by the San Francisco Shock. Unfortunately for Florida, it just wasn't their week, but good things are looking up as Florida today announced that they are signing Zappis, formerly of Team Gigante, which should help them rotate their tank play and provides a ray of sunshine for Florida in otherwise a gloomy stage 1 for them. At number 10, we have the Dallas Fuel. Woes continue for the Dallas Fuel. In a terrible 4-0 loss to the Philadelphia Fusion, they were compounded by having to play NYXL on the final match day of Week 4. Unfortunately, for NYXL, they ended up losing their Pine winning streak. Dallas was the first team to beat Pine on any map, taking Oasis 2-1. But as for stage 1 overall for Dallas, it's just not been their stage. Unfortunately for Effect also, he has also been suspended in comp this week due to some behavioral issues. Let's hope he doesn't have a mental breakdown and just takes this Super Bowl weekend off to sort of reflect, and maybe they can end up on a high note at the end of week 5. At number 9, we have the San Francisco Shock. A good 4-0 win for the Shock was coupled by a 3-1 loss with Houston, making it sort of a middling week for the Shock. They just can't beat anybody in the upper levels of the Overwatch League, unfortunately. It is very, very tough for them to go head-to-head with a team that is literally below them in the standings at this point. And they're really, really waiting and counting the days until Super and Sinatra join the team, because I think that will definitely make the team much, much better. But as for the Shock right now, they sort of anchor the bottom of the Overwatch League power rankings, in my opinion. At number 8, we have the Los Angeles Gladiators. Now, I think it's been a so-so week for the Gladiators. They did get a 3-1 win over Florida, but then they were just destroyed by Boston in a very decisive manner. It solidified their tier as sort of like the bottom of the middle tier for LA. Hopefully, the signing period for players has sort of opened up. They only run an 8-man squad, and I hope they get some help for Sure4, because it seems to me that Hydration and Asher just isn't cutting it at the moment for the Gladiators. At number 7, we have the Philadelphia Fusion. Philadelphia was very good in a 4-0 win over the Dallas Fuel on match day 2. And it was something that they absolutely needed, because they came off a huge loss against the LA Valiant. They had a chance to really establish themselves as a true contender this week, but instead that they proved that they're basically the team that anything can happen on any day with regards to the Philadelphia Fusion. It almost makes them captivating to watch, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to beat a Korean team? Possibly. Are they going to lose to somebody that they're worse at? Possibly too. Who knows? But I know what is certain is that if Shadowburn and Carpe have an off day for the Philadelphia Fusion, they're not going anywhere. And Philadelphia ain't going to be doing anything if they have off days. So they got to make sure that Shadowburn and Carpe stay pristine in order for Philadelphia to sort of up themselves in this league. At number 6, I have the Houston Outlaws. Now, we're getting to the part of the power rankings that I have been getting a lot of flack about. The Houston Outlaws are coming off a really good sort of 4-game win streak coming into this week. They started off the week with a good 3-1 win over San Francisco, but it halted their win map streak at 18. They had won 18 straight maps up to that point. But then they really had the first real competition that they've had in about 2 weeks, playing the Seoul Dynasty, and that match was very, very tough for them. They ended up going down 3-2, and Seoul was looking a little vulnerable there. They were really ripe for the picking, and Houston just could not finish the deal. As this commentator has always said, Houston just has real serious issues against teams that are really, really tough in this league, and they just can't seem to close the deal. They've lost to Philly, they've lost to NYXL, and now a loss to Seoul possibly has them looking out from the outside in going into the very last week of the Overwatch League. At number 5, we have the Los Angeles Valiant. Now, I've been told by commentators on my YouTube channel that I have severely underrated the Los Angeles Valiant. Last week specifically, because of the upsets by Philadelphia and Boston, the Valiant had dropped to as low as number 7, but I argue that it wasn't their fault. Now they actually had competition this week, playing both Philadelphia and Boston, aka the Korea Killers. Now they looked absolutely fantastic against Philly, 4-0ing them, but when it came to Boston, Los Angeles just did not look like the same team. Now granted, they were running without Unko and Silk Thread, but that's why you have a deep team in this league. Noah Winston, the owner of the Los Angeles Valiant, built a large team, and you're supposed to be able to depend on your bench in tough games like these. And unfortunately, the Valiant just did not look like a team at all. So losing 4-0 to the Boston Uprising. And now they have a huge match going into week 5, and that will determine possibly who goes in to the final stage playoffs, as the Valiant will play Seoul on match day 1 of week 5. So it's going to be tough goings for them. At number 4, we have the Boston Uprising. Now, a dominating 4-0 win was expected by Boston at the beginning of this week, and that's what they got against Florida. But then match day 4 and the Los Angeles Valiant came a-calling, and they looked absolutely fantastic. Folks, they're for real. I don't know, you can argue with me with this or not, but all of that preseason stuff regarding them finishing last and looking terrible was shame on me. I actually fell for that too. But you know what? Gamsu is a fantastic tank for the Boston Uprising, as well as Dreamcasper and Striker are a great 1-2 DPS punch. They started off slow, and I think it's going to cost them towards the end of Stage 1, which I think they're not going to be able to qualify for that end of stage tournament, but they're ending this stage as probably the best of the rest with regards to being a team on this. They still have tough matches coming up against Houston and Philadelphia. That Houston match specifically, if they can sort of beat them, they will solidify their claim as the best non 100% Korean team in the Overwatch League at the end of Stage 1. At number 3, we have the Seoul Dynasty. Now, Seoul looked absolutely awful, getting housed by London 4-0. And then they were played to the limit, but then ended up beating the Houston Outlaws 3-2. The team, I think, really has issues in this Mercy meta because the backbone of their team are their supports with Jaehong and Toby. They played parts of the London game without Jaehong, and they just looked absolutely awful. But once this meta is over, at the start of Stage 2 with the Mercy nerfs coming in, I think Seoul will solidify and will look like a better team than they are right now. They're a good team now, meaning that they can pretty much beat everybody else on the table, but they'll even look like a more solid team when it comes to that. They will have to assure themselves the spot in the final round playoff in that game versus the LA Valiant on match day 1 of week 5. So looking forward to that match for the Seoul Dynasty. At number 2, I have the London Spitfire. Now, dominating win over Seoul this week, 4-0, and Shanghai. London really just sort of proved their mettle, coming back off of the bad loss against the Boston Uprising. London is a good team, and London is one of those teams that if the aggression works, They are unstoppable. There was a statistic today that said that Prophet is the highest rated Tracer and Genji in the Overwatch League, if you believe that or not. So kudos to London for winning the matches they did win this week, but they are our number 2 team in the Overwatch League. And of course, the number 1 team in the league we have right now is the New York Excelsior. Now, New York also had to play Shanghai, which was not necessarily a great competition for them, but they did play the Dallas Fuel, who can be a tricky matchup against the Koreans because the Dallas Fuel are one of those teams that will play all of the sort of Korean teams super tight, and that's exactly what they did on match day 4 against New York Excelsior. But Excelsior sort of powered through. They lost their Pine win streak, but they really are the number 1 team in my eyes in the Overwatch Power Rankings this week after week 4. So that's it. That's our power rankings 1 through 12. Do you agree? Do you disagree? These are my opinions and my opinions only. Please leave some comments down below and subscribe if you like the content on this channel. Please also note that I also have other content. If you want to watch my live show with regards to myself and Team Blackwatch, go to my Twitch channel. And if you want an audio version of this podcast and of my live stream, please go to my Podbean site at hotohori.podbean.com. This has been Hotohori, your Overwatch caster, with my top 12 Overwatch Power League Power Rankings. Please let me know what you think, and have a nice day.